Hey people, how you doing? Welcome to episode 179 of the Sports Therapy Association podcast. It's the first of season 3 as we delve headfirst into a brand new year, commonly referred to as 2024. So my name is Matt Phillips, creator of OneChatLive.com, and this episode of the Sports Therapy Association podcast is, as always, being recorded live on a Tuesday at 8 o'clock on the STA YouTube channel and the STA Facebook page. In this episode, entitled Being a Soft Tissue Therapist in 2024, we're going to be discussing what 2024 will, should, and could bring soft tissue therapists. And I'm joined very happily with some STA members who are going to be sharing their hopes, plans, and goals for 2024. If you have joined us live, then you can already see our beautiful faces on the screen here, and you may well recognize some of the people here. If you listen to the podcast, then you don't. But if you'd like to see who's behind the voice, then you can watch the recording on YouTube. Just head along to the STA YouTube channel. But I'll say the names out loud, and then we will get to know them in a lot more detail. Before I do that, we've got people coming through and joining us live. If you do join us live, if maybe you're a new listener, you don't realize this, but if you do join us live, then I can bring your questions up onto the screen along with your photos. For example, Glenn Murphy has joined us. Hey, Glenn, Happy New Year to you. Glenn says, evening all, please no one mention Turkey for the next 12 months. There we go. Thank you, Glenn, for sharing that. We will not talk about Turkey at all. I automatically thought he was talking about the country for some reason. I was like, I don't know, this is going to be some racial slur, but of course it's the meat. Yes, of course.
I thought it might have been like a hair transplant or something.
All the thoughts going through my head when Glenn shares something is massive. Cecily Hislop has joined us as well. Hey, Cecily, Happy New Year to you too, from a wet and windy Cornwall. I think it's wet and windy in most places in the UK. It's pretty crazy. People are coming through as well. We've got Sabrina. Hey, good to see Sabrina again. Happy New Year to you. So yeah, if you listen to the podcast and want to join us live, you like the idea of networking, meeting other therapists, maybe people in your area, then just head along to, like I say, YouTube or Facebook and you can join us. Right. People who have joined us in no particular order. We've got Gary Benson, founder of the STA here. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Fine, thank you, Matt. Happy New Year to everybody.
We have got Alex Moore, sports massage therapist and equipment Pilates instructor at Alex Moore. You can find Alex at movementtherapydorset.com. Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Hi Matt, how you doing?
We've been trying to get you for a while, haven't we? I think
it's taken a few years. Yeah, a few years of every time I saw you at Therapy Expo, I had to reject coming on the show after. So I'm glad I can finally be here.
You've been ducking and diving for a couple of years. So it's great that you're finally here now. Fantastic. Not working on a Tuesday. Magnificent. And we've also got Imi Testa, who's the owner of Back on Track Soft Tissue Therapy. Hey, Imi, how you doing?
Hello.
How are you? People will probably know Emmy from her spectacular presentations at Therapy Expo this year. She's sighing away. You will not, if there was a little Miss Modest, I'm not sure if there is actually, but that would be Imi Testa would be there. So thanks for joining us, Emmy. Really keen to hear what you're up to this year. We've got Ben Mace-Crossley, the SC Injury Rehabilitation undergrad and soft tissue therapist at Repose Injury Rehab. Hey Ben, how you doing?
Hello.
Thank you very much. And Stevie Barr, not last and not least whatsoever. Fantastic to see him at Therapy Expo. Stevie Barr is brand ambassador at Intelligent Cycling and also joint creator of the Scottish Therapist Group. Hey, Stevie, how are you?
I'm very, very nice. Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Lang may your lumreek.
Oh, beautiful and true Scottish. I was going to say
Gaelic.
Gaelic.
Are you Scottish?
You would have known from the internet connection. Anyway, so before we start, let's hand over to Gary Benson, founder of the STA, for a little bit of STA update.
Thanks, Matt. We've been working reasonably hard over the Christmas and New Year period on website changes. They're still going through at the moment. We've got a meeting next week where we're looking at the possibility of having 2 separate sort of sites running simultaneously, one for members and one for public access, simply because there's so much information that navigation sometimes becomes a problem. So we're looking at that. Jake's got some ideas which we're trying to facilitate as well, and we've had some ideas from members. So we're acting on that feedback and we're trying to make things as easy as possible. One of the problems we have, as always, is trying to get the information so it's accessible through every size of screen imaginable, which proves a problem. But yeah, that's coming along nicely. We're making some changes to the membership categories, particularly in relation to the new level 3 massage for sport and massage for for performance, which is being delivered by the fitness industry, which doesn't meet any standards. So we're just having a little bit of a relook at the membership levels, and that'll be coming out when the new website changes come into effect. I've had a meeting with Baylands already. For those who don't know, there have been some hierarchical changes at Baylands, and I've got a meeting with their new staff, if you like, in the coming weeks, particularly to talk about the issues that arose early in December when the CSP issued guidance to their regulated professionals about dry needling and medical acupuncture interventions in the thoracic area, and the subsequent responses from people like the Acupuncture Regulatory Authority. So we're getting some confirmation and some clearance from Baylands about exactly what's going to go on. We've got a meeting with Therapy Expo already booked for the end of next week, and I'm planning a web chat about regulation, because that's a question I'm asked all the time, is when is regulation going to occur? Is it going to occur? What are the implications if it does, etc., etc.? So I want to do a web chat on that. We'll be inviting stakeholders from across the industry for their input. And then the follow-up to the qualifications web chat that we did, still getting questions on that, sort of on a weekly basis. So planning sort of episode 2 of that one. But yeah, that's what we're doing at the moment. Newsletter coming out imminently, where I'm talking about developing the WIST podcast, the Women in Sports Therapy. We've got Fiona, who does some curated content on there, but what we're looking to do as well is turn that into at least a monthly and then hopefully a fortnightly discussion forum, which is going to be initially for our members only. So it'll be via Zoom, it will be recorded, and it will be put in the members area of the website. But then once we've got the format nailed, then probably put it out live to the wider sort of industry. So they're the plans, what we've got at the moment.
Fantastic. And as always, yeah, just people, if you're not getting the newsletter, because poor old Gary is just sick of saying it, just check your spam folder and add safe addresses, the STA.co.uk, because there's so much information in there, and it's tricky these days, but it's worth clicking on. I promise you, there's amazing information in there, even though most of what you get is rubbish. But so, yeah, do check your inbox for that. And if you listen to podcasts and you're not an STA member, then all the information you need is at the STA.co.uk. You can see the very competitive price, but it's not, well, it is kind of about price for a lot of people, isn't it? But it's also the quality and the content and the loyalty and everything else. But you can read all about it there. And as always, if you've got any questions, then you can email myself, Matt at the STA.co.uk, or Gary at the STA.co.uk, or Jake at the STA.co.uk. We're happy to give you any information you need. Let's go back to that level 3 thing again. So we talked about this when just before the new year. So what's the deal with level 3, and what should therapists who are level 3 at the moment be thinking about? What's changing, Gary?
Well, if we go back pre-2009, the level 3 qualification in sports massage therapy included a number of remedial techniques, and it was quite a comprehensive qualification. And probably those of us who trained, sort of 15, 20 years ago, we got quite a robust learning experience. What happened in 2009 after a 2-year consultation was that the level 4 was introduced. And my question to the awarding organisations at the time was, how are you going to make the level 4, a progressive qualification from the level 3? And their response was that they were simply going to downgrade the level 3 to take out all of the analytical stuff out of it, so the objective testing, etc. And so we were left with a watered down level 3 qualification. And in 2014, the qualification was watered down again, so that the limited scope of practice was pre, post and inter-event massage and maintenance massage. And critically, it says on the certificate in the modules on non-pathological tissue. So in practice, the scope had been reduced to such an extent that you could only work with healthy specimens. Fast forward a little bit pre-COVID, when it was widely accepted by I'll call it the remedial industry, that the level 3 was becoming weaker and weaker. A lot more people coming on board, a lot more fitness industry trainers starting to deliver it. And it was widely accepted that it was going to move sideways to become a fitness industry qualification called massage for sport or massage for performance. That didn't happen because of COVID, but that movement is gathering pace again now. So we're trying to preempt that by saying, if you are one of our level 3 members now, we will continue to support you. We will give you guidance and support if required for you to move to level 4. But as we've discussed before, Matt, there is a valid place in the industry for those who want to do massage. So we're not going to alienate those people, as other associations may have done in the past. What we're going to say is we will continue to support you if you're already a member. If you are planning to be a member, then there are going to be additional restrictions in place. And this is what I'm talking to Balance about, to ensure that the people who come from the weakened qualification of 2014 to today, really, then aren't insurable for remedial techniques. So they can't be going on to dry needling courses or medical acupuncture courses or things with a remedial intent, because it's outside of their scope of practice. And I suppose what's been happening is that some of the training providers are not sticking to the unwritten rules, and they're accepting anybody onto their training courses. People are going out there, sticking a needle in someone, in some cases causing damage. And I'm not talking about specifically STA members here, I'm talking about the wider industry. And there's been an exponential rise in the number of claims coming from needling applications. So we're trying to categorize what is high risk, what is low risk, what level 3 can do, what level 4 can do, what level 5 can do. So that's what we're working on the background, to try and get some therapy descriptors in place for our members, but then make them available to the wider industry, so that I suppose it's a consensus of opinion and a movement's going forward together rather than independently.
Excellent. That's a really important. I think that's going to be the topic of or one of the very important topics of 2024. And as we chatted in the last one, I think it's really important and I'm keen to hear from the other people here today about this, but we really should be guiding and helping and looking after the level 3 therapists. I don't like any kind of hierarchy, because for me, a level 3 therapist who is providing, I nearly said just then, I've got to stop doing that. I think it, but I'm not saying it, so it's better. But a level 3 therapist who is providing massage may be forming as important a part in the multidisciplinary care of an individual, or maybe even a more important part than the person who's doing the rehabbing exercise prescription, or the person who's doing this or that. It could be, for that person, one of the really key components, not the only one, but really important, weighted, lot. So I'm keen to hear about the others, from the others here, Alex and Stevie and Imi and Ben, whether you started off at level 3, if you remember your time there, whether you found it frustrating, whether you're glad that you kind of moved on very swiftly, and what you think the place is for level 3s these days in our industry. So let's just go around. Alex, I have no idea. Were you a level 3?
Yeah, I started off about 15 years ago now. I did it a bit backwards, really, because I did a diploma in biomechanics before I'd done anything else, even before I'd done any level 2 fitness. So I had a bit more of that before I even did level 3 massage. So it was about 2011 I did level 3 massage, and I did quite a lot of courses in between then and 2018. So I did like massage, biomechanics, I did mat work Pilates, I did equipment Pilates. I did a whole load of other like CPDs and therapist training, if you like. But what I would say is, I'd say none of them ever made me feel like a true therapist ever. They made me feel like I could massage people, and they made me feel like I could do exercises and do various techniques. But they never really made me. I always had that. I know it's quite prevalent in this industry, people with imposter syndrome. But that's what it always felt like. I never felt like it was I never really felt like a full therapist for years, really. And it wasn't until about 2018, and I did the movement therapy diploma with Mike Grice, which is probably, I know it's classed as level 5, but there's a lot of info you get at degree level in that. And it probably wasn't until I had done that course, until then I actually felt like a proper therapist, and that kind of imposter syndrome went. And again, I think partly it could have been my fault as well, when I was probably trying to do more than sports massage was actually there for. So, you know, you always want to try and be the best for your clients, and, you know, you're almost trying to fix them, so to speak, with just massage. And obviously with a lot of the research and especially a lot of the content on social media we're seeing since COVID, you know, obviously massage is getting a bit of a reputation of not doing what we thought it did. So I think there's definitely a place for level 3, because I'm actually a level 3 with Stevie. We're working for sports massage education, doing level 3 courses this year. So I think there's definitely a place for it. I think it's just really ensuring that people know what the limits and the capacity of it are.
Can I just come in there, Matt, please?
Definitely. Thanks, Alex.
With the level 3, this is my opinion, okay, not necessarily representative of the rest of the industry. But I think instead of the level 3 being the easiest course, the shortest course, because it's an entry-level course, in my opinion, it should be the longest and the hardest course, because we have to learn the anatomy and physiology. We have to learn about pain science. We have to learn about, you know, communication with our client and how we build this therapeutic alliance. And I defy anybody to deliver that course in 2 days, as is happening, even with copious amounts of online learning and assignments. And then once we've got that comprehensive, robust underpinning knowledge, then yes, it's quite easy to go on and do some testing, some muscle strength testing or some joint orthopedic testing. It's quite easy then to go on and synthesize, you know, some rehabilitation plans and periodization programs, etc. But what we're trying to do, what the industry is doing now with its smoke and mirrors and its commercialism, is getting people on board at level 3 for a sometimes quite cheap price, you know, quite a course that's not, in my opinion, fit for purpose, and then trying to bombard them with CPD after CPD after CPD and saying this is what you need to be a great therapist, when actually what you need to be a great therapist is the knowledge and understanding which underpins everything you do, your clinical reasoning skills, and a unique selling point. That's what will make you successful in the industry.
I think that's a good point. And I've myself taught, and I've shied away from people who've said, oh, can you do a level 3 and a level 4 bolt-on? We'll just do level 3 quickly and get them onto level 4. And I'm like, no. Well, financially, I know it makes sense. But for me, like we said before, level 3, you should then have, I believe, depending on the person, obviously, and their background, but you need 6 months, maybe a year, or for some people, even more, just to realize the variety out there, to realize that people do come in who are like different shoulder heights and different pelvic heights. So you can get rid of some of these traditional ideas that symmetry is the answer to everything, because you realize that there's plenty of variety out there. If you rush too heavy into a level 4, you're not learning about people. So you're just working with injuries instead of people. So good point. Stevie, you're next on my screen anyway. You've been involved with Grice as well, and you're very interested in education and the changes that are needed. What do you feel about level 3s in the moment and solutions and things?
Yeah, I'm the same as Ari. I think level 3 should be tough. You know, level 3's, it's like everything else that you do. You got to build up a solid foundation before you take it on to, you know, another level. So absolutely, there is a place for level 3. As it stands at the moment, yeah, we know that it's very, very limited in scope, and that's fine. As long as we are upfront about that, as long as that's straightforward from the educators, then that's fine. But I think there's a little bit of, you know, come and do my level 3 course and you can do this still out there. And I think, you know, that's they're being disingenuous to people because they're making them believe that they'll be able to, see people with injuries and treat injuries and stuff like that, and they can't. Simply can't. As Gary said, any kind of remedial work, complete no-no. So yeah, I think that level 3 should be a tougher starting point than it is. The biggest problem I've got, I guess, is that we're very, very limited up here in Scotland as to what you can do. I mean, you've got a couple of people who run courses, but they generally run them at the same time of the year, sort of October, November time. So if you miss that, then you've got a year to wait before you can sort of decide that, well, okay, I want to take on to the next level. But getting back to your point, Matt, that gives you a brilliant year to get your hands on people, different types of people, and get that therapeutic alliance that we need to find, and get that nailed down before you kind of start and think, okay, I'm going to start, moving and twisting and all that. So yeah, level 3 has definitely got a place. There has to be a starting point, and as long as we nail down what that starting point is, we're very, very clear what that starting point is, then obviously people can come into the business and all they might ever want to do is, I'm going to call it a simple massage, but that's not the right word or the right phrase. So they don't have to move on. But I agree with Gary. I think the level 3 should be harder than it is, and set up the other, the excess education that you want to do, because it should be a choice to do it rather than a need. And I think that's where we are right now. Like, if you've got level 3 and you want to do anything at all, you need to move on. And that, some people are just saying, level 3, level 4, bolt it together and bosh, away you go. And as we know, you get your hands on somebody with very, very little experience, you can, make a right mess of things. So.
Excellent. Yeah. And it's challenging as well. I mean, like, I know you've got plans to get somebody like Greg Lehman up in Scotland here, which is amazing. Congratulations to you to get, that's going to change a lot of people's lives. But if you allowed someone who'd just done a current level 3 course to listen to Greg, it would just be, they'd just throw the towel in. They'd just get either really angry, really depressed, or just kind of freak out, or just take it all too literally. And they wouldn't be able to, because they're not ready yet for those nuances. They're not ready yet to start thinking, especially someone like Greg, who's like sick to the teeth of saying the same thing kind of like over the years and challenging everything. So whereas if someone does level 3 and then gently have a year to do, just to awake themselves to other possibilities, and then take on something like Greg or other people like that who are challenging traditions, then that would be far more sensible. But yeah, Ben, you were level 3 a long time ago, were you?
Yeah, I started level 3 2019, so I'm still quite new to the industry. But yeah, I did my level 3 in 2019. It was over several months. As you said, there's all the anatomy and physiology side of stuff that you have to get on board, and we had a couple of weekends where we'd go in between and catch up on things, and then we'd have like a sit down test at the end, and then we'd get observed doing the manual sort of side of it. But yeah, I was completely shocked then when you come out into the world, and then there's all these different people of all these different pathologies or just conditions that come to you, and hoping massage will fix it. And you believe at first, okay, I'll give it a good rub and whatnot. I've done the course. Hopefully it should work. And sometimes it does. And most times, if it's something more serious going on there, then it doesn't touch the size at all. And it's the same with level 4. And I was really surprised when I did the level 4 course as well, because I had the pack through, it came through the post, and then I had a date to go in, and I thought we were going to be sitting there and going through his entire pack and sort of like learning and being taught it. And we went there, and I think it was over 2 weekends, and they literally just taught us the more sort of advanced, if you will, remedial modalities. And that was it. And I was like, well, what about all this? I'm like, well, why did you not do that in your own time? You're like, well, that never came through to me. I didn't know that was going to happen. And I'm not, slaying the tutor, because he was a really good tutor. And I still occasionally message him from time to time now. He was a nice bloke. But yeah, and then even after I did then, the level 4, which was then, a bolt-on, as I say, it was only a couple of weekends. And it was very it was almost like a tick box, and boof, now I was like, okay, I'm a fixer. Now I can do all these sort of moves. And again, even then at level 4, you're still not a fixer. You just know a couple more techniques, but you still don't know enough. You don't know any rehabilitation process. You don't even know, like the healing process. You don't get taught, inflammation, moving on to blah, moving on to, it just didn't exist. You just learned about joints. And then, so yes, it's a strange one. The entire process, especially for vocational level, is crazy, really. And even, it was only just been recently, I'd say recently, I think it was towards the back end of, it might have been early 23, maybe back end of 22. I had a lady come in to me, and by this point I was level 4. Could I have even been starting the one with, I think I might have even been started the one with Anna Maria then as well. And a lady came with me, and she had a problem with the foot, and she had real bad pain. She couldn't, find what was going on. And, there was something going on towards the base of the 5th metatarsal. I didn't have a clue what was going on there. So luckily I just said to her, look, I'm going to refer you on. So I sent her to a foot specialist that I knew up the road. And she's like, well, can you not just give it a rub and just, try and do something? I was like, no, but I won't charge you for it because I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to refer you onto it. And it wasn't until just more recently, with a course that I'm, now undertaking, that now knows an insertion point, and it's a point which, where fractures happen quite regularly. But you don't know that. You don't know the things that you don't know. So a lot of people, if they're coming out with these level 3 and level 4 courses, and they've been told in class, and they're coming out, they don't know the extra parts of which obviously we guys talk about quite regularly. They just don't know. I've said it to you guys before, like, you don't, I'm not saying it over again, that you don't know what you don't know. So only the other day on Facebook, I saw someone was asking for a physiotherapist. As you see in Facebook groups, always a recommendation by one. Someone was asking for a physiotherapist. And then a few people had tagged in a therapist of the area, and someone had put in like a photograph of their business card, and it was VTCT level 3, and underneath she'd actually put herself as injury rehabilitator, injury prevention. And so these people are out there with these level 3 courses, taking clients on, knowing that they're looking for a physiotherapist with pathological issues, and just taking the money and going for it. Because I mean, when I did my level 3, yes, there was some cover on red flags, absolutely for sure. But it was kind of all blocked together. You just get a list of red flags, and then you put that list and you transfer over onto the bottom of your sheet, and people kind of go, yeah, I've got none of that, and I like click over. Some of the population won't even know they've got stuff like that. But there's more deeper, there could be a lot more deeper things that are going on inside somebody that you need to unpick. And until you start studying more and practicing more of your subjective assessment, you're not going to know how to pick those details out of people to be able to unline what's going on to you. Like, as I mentioned just before we came on the call, like with lower back pain, if you don't know the questions to ask that could be leading to a more serious pathological condition, you just go, it's lower back pain, I'll just give it a rub. And you could miss it completely. And this person could be in serious danger, and you're prolonging it. But if you're not taught that even at level 3 to ask those questions and what to look out for, you're in danger.
Definitely. Yeah, which brings us back, doesn't it, to level 3 needs to be more exhaustive. Level 3 needs to do much more about red flags and knowing your scope and recognizing when you need to refer on, and which is not really done at the moment. They mentioned a few things and then they just move on to rubbing's going to cure everything. So yeah, great, good summary.
Can I come in there, Matt? Can I come in there and just say, just for balance and accuracy, the reference that Ben made there about the person with the business card, it is highly likely, or should I say possible, that person trained at level 3 with VTCT when remedial skills were included in that qualification. So unless we know when that qualification was issued, and this is why we changed our membership categories last year on the 1st of January 2021, so that every renewal certificate comes through, instead of being an affiliate member, a full member, or graduate member, it does actually classify the qualification. And on our level 3 examples, you can be a level 3 sports massage therapist, but if your certificate says on non-pathological presentations or words to that effect, it will say that on your membership certificate. So what we're trying to do is highlight to the person, to the member, that this is your scope of practice. And I speak to every new member and I say, this is what we expect of you, this is what you can expect of us. So it's a difficult one to paint everybody with the same brush, but generally speaking, the more recent your level 3 qualification, the lesser your scope of practice actually is. And just before we go to Imi, what I would say is that there is a fundamental problem in education, not just in our industry. Level 3 awards historically delivered at further education colleges. The government policy making everybody stay in college until they're in post-compulsory education, should we say, until they're 18, which means a lot of people who are now wouldn't gone on to a 6th form at a school, going to college, they have to stay in education. And the way education is run at the moment is the next year's funding is based on this year's results and retention figures. So it's in the establishment's best interest that everybody passes the course. That has led in time to a devaluing of the level 3 qualification to such an extent that it has become something which is, hasn't got much of a value in our remedial industry. And I spoke last time, Matt, about the fork in the road that I see coming along. The new qualification that's been issued by fitness industry providers, that's great. Fully respect you want to do that. I understand it's a commercial activity for you. The STA is not commercially driven, so we can actually come on here and say, well, why aren't the lead counsel for soft tissue therapists doing something about this? But as I was going to say, if you're a fitness professional and you want to just provide massage with no remedial intent at the end of one of your sessions or to replace one of your sessions, then that's fine. Massage for performance, massage for sports, that's great. Go ahead and do that. If you want to be in the remedial industry, we should be channeling ourselves towards the harder level 3 and onto the level 4 so we can work autonomously.
Great points. Thank you. Yes, thank you for clearing that up. Imi sat there patiently listening.
Sorry, I keep getting up and down. My dog's being a pain, so it's not that I'm not listening. The dog keeps
that's
coming
fine. Now we understood that. That's okay. So, Imi, you've had the fortune now. Well, I say the fortune, but you've been through the mill with regards to seeing how difficult it can be when you read things on social media, criticizing everything you've learned and studied, and that's something we have to reiterate again and again. It's a sad thing for many therapists about the poor education or the poor syllabi that are out there is it's going to come to a head where suddenly you're just going, and you either, sadly, a lot of people with great empathy and great desire to help others, for not that money's not driving them, they just want to help and get loads of thank yous, are just going, you know what, this is a waste of my time. And I see it on Facebook and it's soul shattering. Or they have the patience to listen, change, tweak a little bit, get to the difficult patch, and then come out like yourself, who now is in a fantastic position, and the things which you're doing on a daily basis now of helping other therapists realize that you can get through. You haven't got to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So what words have you got, Imi? You tell us a little bit about that. It was very difficult for you for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And it was one of the answers that I was going to give to your questions that you gave us this morning to think about. But that, social media it can be really negative, and I think because of the way that our brains read things, we tend to see that negativity. So I first I didn't come in as a level 3 or a level 4. I came in with an HND. That's how old I am. But it was in holistic massage through beauty therapy. And then when I did my level 3 and 4, and that was together of what was then called sports massage, I can honestly say I don't think I learned anything more than I did in my beauty therapy qualification. If anything, I think that has, until I did my level 5 with Anna Maria, which is a whole different ball game, and I learned so much of that, very valuable background knowledge. But until then, I would have said that, yeah, my beauty therapy qualification gave me as much knowledge as my level 3 or 4. And some of the skills that I learnt then and working with people through that, I think have stood me in just as good stead up until the point of, you know, wanting to work maybe with more challenging cases. And I think maybe in our industry there's an element of I can't remember who I was talking about it to the other day, but it's a bit like that sketch with you know, the two Ronnies and John Cleese, and we have the sort of, you know, we have the physiotherapists and the, you know, the professionals who have got who are academically trained, and they look down on us and we look up to them, but we look down on the holistic therapists. And I think maybe, you know, if we stopped doing that a little bit and recognised that society as a whole, I think, doesn't recognise enough the value in things like care and listening and support, which you can do with a level 3 and you can do as a holistic therapist. And I agree absolutely with Gary that level 3, and I think across the board for any hands-on work, should be better and to be more robust and be a more solid foundation, and to have all those elements like red flags, because from there you can be a better therapist. But those things, you know, building therapeutic alliance, that is, you know, you can learn all the other stuff, but if you don't have that solid foundation, you're still going to be, can I say shit? You're still going to be a shit therapist, no matter how many qualifications you've got. You're still not going to be able to help people as well. And I think, everything. Sorry?
Touch is everything.
Yeah, and you know, I think that we need to recognise that, and actually, as you know, as a vocational industry, that is something that we can come in at that level and take that pressure off with the, you know, the easier cases. Anything more, we've got a low bar for referral, we're going to refer up. But those people we can help. I see so many people now with conditions arising from stress and anxiety and depression. And that's what we can be amazing at. And maybe we need to shout a little bit louder about the value that we can bring at a level 3 if it's got that base. And I think going back to what Ben was saying, that although it's tricky because at that level we maybe shouldn't be treating more complex issues, we absolutely should have our red flags down and our referral system down, because people do come to you. When I worked as a beauty therapist, if you've got really good clients who love you, you've got really good therapeutic alliance with those clients, if they have a back pain, they're going to come and see you first, and you know, unless it's really, really bad. So you do need to know that right from day dot. And that's not even just, I wouldn't say soft tissue therapy or sports or remedial. Every single person who is giving massage needs to have that good solid base, and then you can go on from that.
Yeah, that needs to, like, module 1 really, doesn't it? It
Yeah,
needs to
yeah.
be very thoroughly covered. But yeah, I just to counter what you said, Imi, as well, but also to agree with you, saying that, you know, academically you know, qualified people kind of look down on us in that sense, but
I was a generalization.
No, it's good. But at the same time, you know, NHS physiotherapists are, you know, maybe private physiotherapists who are on sort of like a fast, you know, road to turnover. You know, they're going to get people into the door 15 minutes, 20 minutes max with a person. So it's just not enough. So even though they have a higher qualification skill set, to be able to build that therapeutic alliance with someone, you're not going to get in 15 minutes by going in, what's going on?
This is what we can provide so well.
Yeah, here's your exercises, crack on. You're
gonna those people who are level 3, that's fantastic. And there's loads of ways you can help people at that level 3. Hone those skills that you've got there before going on and learning some more background knowledge behind that. But there's so much, even with that level, you can really help people just simply by supporting them and listening to them.
Yeah.
Excellent. And it's a great business model. I mean, I'm always going on about how we've had guests on who said, oh, we love the idea of having a good evidence-informed massage therapist who we can give patients to, knowing that they're not going to say, oh, I'll tell you what you need, actually, I'm going to give you this sort of massage, that's going to help get rid of the toxins, because that's going to undo some of the work which is being done elsewhere and with an allied health professional. So it's a really healthy business model, and that should be taught. I think your place within patient-centered care, you know, how you do form a massively important part, and that would get rid of this imposter syndrome, because that's one of the things you were talking about initially, Alex. At the moment, it's natural we get that imposter syndrome because we're basically told that we're going to save the world, then we realize, no, I'm not. This person is not getting any better, so we start thinking, I need to do this course. If we turn that on its head and we realize that we can do an awful amount by working with others, by spotting things earlier to provide like 10 years of misdiagnosis or no diagnosis, that's where our strength is, realizing that we're often the first port of call, and that person is going to open up more if we've got that primal grooming, that touch, that alliance we've been talking about. So yeah, fascinating. Right, look,
can I just jump in on that, because that's a really good point, because over Christmas, and this is a really good example that it's really good for other therapists to hear, or especially new therapists starting out. In December, I was working, for one reason or another, I ended up working in 4 different theatres, offering massage to their dancers and to all their panto stars. And the importance of having like a good referral network around you is really key, because one, it completely takes the pressure off you and sets your expectations. So like a real good example is I was working, where was I working? I was working on Aladdin, which is a panto we had down in Poole. And half the cast were based up in London. So I was just going in and just treating them just because they'd had a long run and they're getting a bit tired and achy. And some of them came in with like real specific kind of dance injuries that needed something more of a massage. And before COVID, a lot, for some reason, it's probably a different story in itself, I ended up with loads of dancers as clients. And one of the things that was always really difficult, and I don't know why, because I've never danced a day in my life. And it was always really difficult because there was never any good there was never any therapists to send the more complex cases onto who specialised in dance. And obviously with COVID and the STA podcast, I got to know 𝐒𝐫𝐸 quite well. So at this panto, I was treating, at all these shows I was working at, I treated about 50 dancers in the end. And the ones who had something a bit more complex, who needed something a bit more that massage couldn't help, it was really good because I could just give them her name and her details. And it worked really well for them because they felt really confident because they had someone, because they'd had 2 or 3 physios who, not that didn't help, but didn't quite understand their role. And they felt really confident that after panto, they were going to go to someone who could help them. And it was good for me as well, because that really set the expectation for what we're getting in the treatment I was giving them was purely just to calm things down, make them feel good and get them through. But then once you need more, had something more to go on to afterwards. So yeah, building really good networks of people who can really help your clients is really good for your clients, but also for you as well, because it can kind of keep you safe almost in a way.
That's a good point. Yeah, it helps reinforce, your limitations in the sense of treating someone, but how helpful you can be by referring them on. Good point. Yeah, excellent.
I'll come in there, Matt, if I may.
Yes.
Been making some notes of imposter syndrome. This is one of my pet hates. We always, in effect, when we come out of a course and we believe everything that we're told, we're actually comparing our chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20. So it's an unfair way of looking at it. We should compare our chapter 2 to our chapter 1. But when Imi was talking about her HND, I mean, don't do yourself a disservice. The HND is still alive and kicking, Imi. So you know. Okay,
it was a good course.
Yeah.
Even though it was quite a while ago.
yeah, and they are set at level 5. They're the equivalent of a foundation degree. But what Alex was getting to there is what we discuss on all of our on our coffee evening chats, you know, with our new members. It's what is your USP? You know, Alex could now become the go-to person for dance-related problems in his area because he's built his experience. He could be the go-to person. He could be the pantomime dame, if you like. You know, he could be known for that. Liz Bailey is a specialist, but I'm sure, Alex, you picked up some experience of working with them, listening to their stories. And what I find interesting is this panel here, none of us in our 20s. And I think therapy, and I think a lot of the chapters that we have as therapists are not built or not written in the therapeutic industry. They're written in life. So what we do with our hands, and we did this a straw poll on a podcast a couple of years ago, what we're doing with our hands only gives 20% of the success of what we're doing in the session. It's the way we communicate, it's the way we listen, it's the way that we clinically reason, it's the way we decatastrophize, it's the way we promote and build that therapeutic relationship with our client, it's how we build trust. That's what makes a difference. And with respect, you could teach a monkey to do a massage in a couple of days if you wanted to, but it's all those other things that you can't teach. The understanding of pain, the understanding of pain referral patterns, the understanding of the human mind and stress and anxiety and all of the part that those play in the whole big picture. So we are treating people more holistically, but we've had to go through life to get that experience to do that. And sometimes I don't think it's particularly suited to somebody who's just come out of a university. And I'm not disrespecting that as a direction. What I'm saying is that they probably haven't got the people skills to be successful as a people person. We need to be a people person in this industry.
I'll kind of give you a little bit more on that, and it's not to do with the massage. So I used to be a currency trader, right? Well, that's why I spent some years, and I had no qualifications in that. I had no training. I learned the job as I went through it. But we would occasionally get some people come in, say a couple of graduates who come out of uni, degree in economics, degree in whatever, and they come and they sit down and they know everything. Yeah, they do. They know everything about economics, but they don't know about a rapidly moving market, which is full of people who have got fears. You know, they've got their ideas about how things should work. There's things happening out there that you won't know, and you'll never know. And so therefore you can't say, well, I'm in control here, I know exactly what's going to happen here. That's not the way it works. And I think for massage it's the same in a way that you know, back to that sort of, you know, give people the foundation, and then if, like Alex, if they've decided that, okay, I want to do something different here, I want to increase my education, and I want to be able to do that because I want to target a particular group of people, like dancers or athletes or, you know, sprinters or cyclists or golfers or whatever. To me, that's the motivation to increase your education, because you want to be something to somebody rather than just something to everybody in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Good analogy. Yeah, without a doubt. Maybe people, yeah. I mean, age does always make a big difference. Like Gary says, if you're a little bit older and you've learned that there's different types of people out there, and you've got to change your vocabulary and listen more and just be totally different with different sorts of people. That's a massive part of working in healthcare, isn't it? So, look, it is 8:50 now. So what I'm interested in doing, because we've got the pleasure of you four people here who have got years ahead of you, or 2024 I want to talk about. What you guys are doing in 2024 for your practice, what ideas you've had, what you're changing. I know some of you have gone back to studies, but if we kind of go around again, Imi, let's go back to you. What are some of your plans for 2024? Or maybe you're not changing anything because it works well for you.
There's always I've got a low boredom threshold, so I've already booked some very good CPD. One of them's about gait analysis, was it?
Oh, it's true. That wasn't a plug, by the way. Yeah. What made you do that? Is that because you've got? I don't want to concentrate on that. Is that because you're seeing runners, or you want to know more about how to work with runners? Or?
I used to. That's why my business started with runners, and it's kind of veered off because I'm not very good at planning. So it was quite an interesting exercise this morning, having to think about next year. It was a good reflective process, and I know that I've gone down some rabbit holes with more sort of the psychological elements of things. And I am learning more about movement, because that's a gap in my practice, definitely for me. So I'm doing that, but I wanted to go back to some of the little gaps, and maybe lost my confidence a bit with my runners. Need to make sure I'm still up to date with what I know and learn some more stuff. So yeah, so I miss my runners, and I want to learn a bit more. And yeah, I fell off, my running fell off the edge of a cliff in lockdown. So maybe it will give me some motivation to get back running again as well.
Didn't you do an ultra marathon with Sarah last year?
Not yet, no. I did an ultra, but I'm supposed to be doing something with Sarah, but I don't think she's got on it. I think it sold out before she got her place. Yeah, which is probably just as well, because I'm definitely... Yeah, I'm going to be dragging myself around that. I'm not very fit.
Good for you.
Excellent. Right, so some CPD to work more with a particular population of people. That's great. Let's use that as an example. I'm sure you've got other things going on.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll do that. So CPD to increase the people you can work with and serve them better. Ben, what have you got going on?
I'm struggling with is balancing the things that I'm interested in and want to learn more about, and actually the things that bring the money.
Yeah, it's so important.
And how to market that.
I've got a theory on that, Imi.
Yeah.
What we should do is, to a certain extent, we should put aside what we're interested in, okay, put it on the back burner, and our CPD, in my opinion, should be directed by our clients' needs. So if you are seeing 60% runners, just as an example, it makes sense to go and do some up-to-date assessment for runners training, but if your client base is 60% menopausal, ladies, it makes sense to go and do that, so that you can be better to serve the people who are coming in and seeing you. Because one of the points I was going to make for my wish for 2024 is that we should have client informed CPD rather than going on to do more and more passive interventions. So look at our demographic, our unique selling points, and be better at that. It doesn't automatically exclude you from working with the other demographics, but you become the go-to person for that modality, that demographic. As a result, you can charge a premium price and provide a premium product rather than be quite general.
Definitely.
60% menopausal runners.
Well, they are really.
Well,
yes.
you know what? Yeah, there's definitely a big overlap there. Definitely. Yeah, without a doubt.
They definitely are. Oh yeah, yeah. My runners have always been not elite. But yeah, the weekend warriors. That's what I like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, Ben. Where are you with your career? What are you doing in 2024?
So I came out of private practice early 2023. Financially, it was getting quite difficult. We had a new baby on the way, etc. So I ended up going into fully employed, working as a personal trainer as well as doing soft tissue therapy, and I wanted to take it further. So I've now dropped out of everything. I do a little bit of mobile work as a little bit of 𝐒𝐫𝐬𝐬𝐿. But I've gone to university. Not gone back, so I've never been before. So I've gone to university to get a degree in rehabilitation.
How was that financially? Because I'm sure that's something which a lot of people consider. Was it more accessible than you thought, or is it actually very challenging financially?
I mean, yeah, we're broke, but the bills are paid and there's food on the table. My wife, luckily, my wife works, so yeah, we rely on her wage. Whatever work I can get in as a little top up, and then the student loans which we get in. Obviously, we're married, we've got kids, so it adds a little bit more to it. There's also universal credits that we get a little bit of a top up to, especially for childcare. That's the main one, because little Penny's she's only just turned 1, and she's in she's in nursery 3 days a week, and that costs a lot of money.
Fortune, yeah.
Yeah, so you know, they pay towards that, or you know, give a little bit towards it, and then student loan or student finance, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, you get your maintenance loan with that as well, and as long as we make sure that we're not getting excited once money comes in, it should last for, you know, 3 to 4 rent payments just in time for the next lot to come through. So
okay, so it
we're
can be
making
done.
it work. We are budgeting, but
done.
we're making it work.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
I look forward to hearing about that and the content of it. You're doing that where? Just out of interest, where you?
In Wrexham.
Fantastic. We'll have to get you back to hear about that. I'm interested about the course content. Alex, plans for this year? What you got going on?
Yes, I mean, this year, I think this is probably, if you remember Tim Allardyce's podcast from last year, obviously he was quite, he was saying 2023, we've kind of got to survive rather than thrive, really. And it kind of feels, this is the first year in a long time, probably 4 or 5 years, where it feels like there's no like hangover, so to speak. So like COVID or cost of living or other things going on. So it feels like this year we can kind of let the shackles off a bit and kind of really go for things. So yeah, this year probably just really I gave me a bit of a kick working in the theatres and working with kind of athletes, and I've done a bit of work with my golf clubs as well. So working with people with a real kind of performance element is one key. Education as well, getting into education quite a lot this year with doing some massage courses and a couple of other courses got written in line with Pilates. And the other couple of things is we're looking to kind of bring someone else in now, because I've been working on my own for like 10 years. So I'm thinking about getting someone else in just to have someone to work alongside and work with and help grow things. And then the last thing really is my regional rep role is the STA. So I really want to kind of develop that, and I've been thinking of a few ideas I could do over Christmas to kind of enhance it and do more for our members, which I'll probably speak to Gary about at some point when I've thought a few more ideas.
Excellent. And you mentioned getting somebody in. Is that proving to be scary times of looking into the legal things you want to do, or is it?
Oh, I've not got that far yet. It's quite difficult, especially with Pilates, because a lot of Pilates instructors are qualified to do classes in a health club, in a gym setting. So they haven't done any other background stuff in line with remedial or kind of like sports therapy performance thing. So, and it kind of, I think last year I was putting all these things together. Now they're all coming together. Like I kind of realized there wasn't many people out there. So I thought, well, what about if I just select people and write a course and write a couple of courses, and then you can train them. So that's kind of what I've been doing, really. So I was building all that last year. It's still going on a little bit, still got little bits and pieces to do. But yeah, not got that far to look at the legal side. I've just kind of got the education part to train them, and then potentially picking out who would be a good fit.
That's amazing. So you need a clinician, you can't find them, so you're going to do a course, train some people up, and then pick the one who does the best at your course, and they can work with
Alex,
you.
Exactly.
It's like the apprentice, kind of, yeah.
We will book a chat, because I can go through some of the employment. I've employed lots of people historically. But one thing I would say, that if you are considering, getting someone in, if you like to share the workload, to develop things, how about considering getting in an expert in something that you don't do, so that you can add another string to your clinic bow, if you like, and it's not, it's like if we're not good at numbers, we employ an accountant because it makes our business easier. But if you're not good at something and you want that to be part of your clinic, consider employing an expert. Go for the high quality rather than somebody who's mirroring exactly what you do. And I just want to mention, Alex, some of the great work you're doing as your regional rep role, holding the accountability sessions on Monday. People who come along to our coffee evening chats, we probably give them some targets with regards to marketing or development. And then what Alex and Scott do on an alternate Monday, a couple of times a month, is they get, they meet up with these people, say, how are you getting on with the task that we gave you last week? Okay. Why haven't you completed it? Has life got in the way? What are the things that we can do to make you better for next time? So really respect you for doing that, and thank you, Alex. And we are overdue a chat. Just while I'm on, just remember, people don't buy services, they invest in outcomes. And that's what we should be thinking about for 2024 is how can we market an outcome rather than a service?
Excellent. Right, Stevie, the floor is yours. 2024, you've had a bit of a battle yourself in 2023.
Yeah.
But it sounds like I've been following your bicycle adventures back to fitness, which is very inspiring. What have you got planned for 2024?
Well, I've been out since May. So, yeah, I'm going to have to spend the first part of 2024 almost like starting again, getting back into, being with clients and massage and stuff. I've got that to do. Got some upskilling to do because I want to take things on a little bit more on a level. So I need to get up from level 3. I need to do some CPD. So I'm going through Greg Lehman's Running Resilience. I'm probably going to be hooking up for yours to get the gait side of things because I quite like to work with runners. I'm not a runner myself, but I'm interested in the kind of injuries and things that they get. And I need to finish off my assessor course as well. I started that last year before all this booted off. So I'm halfway through that. I just need to get the last part of it done. And then that's me with that. And then, education, sports massage education. We want to get that up and running up here if we can. And Scottish therapists, I want to try and move that on, get some CPD up here. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned Greg Lehman, got him coming along, which is brilliant. I did sort of throw it out there, I threw out the hook, for yourself, Mr. Phillips. Don't worry, we'll keep that in the back burner. And there's one or two other people I would
Glasgow sometime, someone around there.
Yeah, there's one or two other people I would like to try and get hold of, to like Ben Cormack or even even Mr. Meekins. Get him to bring his shoulder course up. It's very, very well quoted. So if we can develop that a little bit more. I mean, we started off from scratch. We've got 175 members, and I just want them to realise that there's stuff out there for them. It's not all going to be directed at them from one source. They can get it from wherever they want. They can have opinions about things, and nobody's going to say anything about that. There's a market up here, and yet you wouldn't know that. Just wouldn't. So it should be busy.
Great stuff. And you're showing the positive side of social media as well. There is rubbish out there, but if you find someone that is putting good info out there, it can be really good. It's free CPD. You're sharing some great links, and it's not shouty up there. It's kind of like people discussing and jumping in and kind of debating. So it's good reflection. Yeah. Good stuff. Right, look, it's 9:05. Thank you, people, for joining us. Thank you so much. I'm hoping that's been interesting to everyone else out there. We've had examples of therapists who are doing CPD, people who've gone back into education, people who are starting more education themselves, hiring other people. So all sorts of stuff going on there, all linked by the common theme of the Sports Therapy Association. How wonderful to have you all here doing your thing under the same umbrella, an umbrella held by Gary Benson. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Gary, anything before the next week we'll be bringing guests as always. If you're new to the Sports Therapy Association podcast, then we have these get-togethers once a month, and then we bring you every other week a guest from something to do with the industry. I'm not sure who's coming next week, but we've got loads of exciting things opening up. So do follow us at the UK_STA. But Gary, for STA members in particular, anything to finish up on?
Yeah, newsletter coming out. Our open rate for the newsletter is about 35%, but we also put them on the website as well. So I'm happy that people are accessing them either from the website or from their inbox. I really want to host a meeting, and I've mentioned this in the newsletter. I want to host a meeting for our female members only at this stage, so that I can get an idea of where they want our WIST podcast to go, which direction to go. So that's going to be in the newsletter. I'm looking for people who want to get in touch with me, who want to attend the meeting, to give me some ideas. And then once we've got something in place, I'm just going to step back from it and let that go and see where it ends up, really. Because I'm not the best person to talk about women's health or women's the barriers that women face, with raising families and trying to work, or vulnerability issues. I'm not the right person for that. So getting some more of our female members involved is really what we want to do in 2024. God dear, it's late night, isn't it?
It's past 9 o'clock now. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's me gone. So
Amazing.
That's the plans.
So people, if particular female listeners are listening to this, then they should email Gary at the STA.co.uk? Yeah, fantastic. Okay. And of course, if you listen to this and you're thinking, the STA sounds interesting, I like what they're getting into, I want to see this newsletter, then like I say, go along to the STA.co.uk and you've got all details about there of how to sign up if that's what you want and how much it costs and all that sort of stuff. Or come along and join us live and ask questions in the comments here. Gary's normally in the live lounge during the episodes. You can always ask questions there if you're not sure of stuff as well. Right. Alex Moore, Stevie Barr, Ben Mace-Crossley, Imi Testa, thanks so much for giving up your time and sharing your experiences. Hopefully we will reconvene at a later date to see how all your plans are going along. So that'd be great to hear from you as well. But that's about it for tonight. So thank you for listening to the podcast. If you are listening to the podcast, then do us a favor and leave us a nice rating and a review, just because it helps the podcast reach more people. There's no monetary gain. It's just purely helping the good word of our guests get out to more people. So if you're on an iPhone, it's very quick. You've got it takes 30 seconds to leave 5 stars and that was a good show. If you're Android, it takes a bit longer, but you can do it. Right.
And
thanks,
Happy
people.
New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. And here's to 2024. Take care of each other.